When you die, you should be surrounded by people you love. This is the famous quote Yuji's granddad made before he passed away. It was basically his last words to Yuji, and I think there's more towards those words than meets the eye. But before I go diving into the meaning behind those words, I just want to give a quick heads up to everyone that there will be spoilers discussed from the latest chapter of the manga. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then don't watch the video, or better yet, just read the latest chapter and come back to this video. Or if you don't care for spoilers, go ahead and watch anyway, but you have been warned. In the latest chapter of the manga, Sukuna more or less confesses to all of his crimes in a very nonchalant way. He basically just wants to see the power of Higuruma's executioner's sword. And in the final panels, we see Sukuna slice up both Kusakabe and Higuruma. The strongest slice in the world, which took down Gojo, is now being used against Higuruma and Kusakabe. So needless to say, there's no way both of these characters are surviving. And the way Akutami is with his story and how much he loves killing off his characters, do you honestly believe that these two characters are surviving in the next couple of chapters? Don't get me wrong, I really like both of these characters. In terms of side characters, they might actually be my favorite. Kusakabe is really funny whenever he's on screen, and his commentary during the Gojo vs Sukuna fight made that fight more engaging, and I could actually understand what is happening when he explained all the moves and powers that both Gojo and Sukuna displayed. Higuruma, well, the guy's a lawyer and his domain expansion is a court case. What could be more entertaining than that? Seeing demonic, monstrous characters actually being pulled inside a courtroom is so surreal to see, especially the king of all curses. So believe me guys, if these characters do end up dying, then again, I will be devastated because Akutami does what Akutami does, and that is kill off his beloved characters, or at least the fan favorite characters in his series. Okay, so let's just say for the sake of argument that there is a high probability that both of these characters will die. What's next for the story? Hakari and Yuta are still around. I mean, Hakari is locked in a fight with Urame, so it doesn't seem like he will be fighting Sukuna anytime soon. And Yuta just now supposedly killed off Kenjaku. So in theory, it does look like he will be in line to try and take out Sukuna. We still have Meimei and a few others still lurking around, so there are still candidates that can be nominated to try and take on Sukuna. But it feels like Sukuna is just steamrolling his way through everyone right now, and even after his fight against Gojo, you would think he would need to have some downtime to recover. But no, he fought Kashimo, Kusakabe, Higuruma, and Yuji since then. So what's going on? Are we not going to have Sukuna just pull out and come back fighting for another day? Or is this fight the inhuman Makio Shinjuku showdown as stated in the official translation is the arc that we are in? Is this the final arc of the story? I know Akutami last year said he will end Jujutsu Kaisen soon, but with the sheer amount of characters dying and with each character's death, are we getting closer to the ending of the story? In Shibuya, we had Nanami die, Nobara die, Todo basically becoming permanently immobilized with the loss of his arms. The 4 disaster curses are all dead, Yuki died, Principal Yaga died, Panda is dead, the higher-ups are dead, Takaba looks like he's dead when we saw him lying down in chapter 243. Maki killed off the entire Zenith family, a family of Jujutsu sorcerers that are one of the pillars of the Jujutsu world. Gojo is dead, Kenjaku is also dead, Kashimo is dead, Megumi is trapped inside of his own body thanks to Sukuna, so he more or less is dead. Megumi's sister is also dead thanks to Sukuna, and there's probably so many more characters that have died that I can't think of right now, but comment below the characters that have died that I might have missed. There's a whole roster of characters that are now dead, missing, or are immobilized and can't offer anything else in the story going forward. And this for me links back to Yuji's granddad's quote and final words to Yuji. When you die, you should be surrounded by people you loved. However, that quote never specified whether or not the loved ones that he's meant to be surrounded by when he dies, whether or not they should be dead or alive. What if this is the twist? What if the true meaning and foreshadowing of that quote is that Yuji could die surrounded by the corpses of everyone in Jujutsu High and all the other friends he made along the way in this story? The evidence for this is in the story itself. The author is killing off everyone. No character is safe in this story. Hell, Yuji himself wasn't safe back in season 1 when Sukuna ripped his heart out, and only cause of Shoko and a binding vow he was able to come back to life. Akutami has stated himself back in Jump Festa 2020 that among Gojo and the first years, either one person will die or everyone will die except for one person, and is living up to that quote with the amount of characters he has killed off already in the series. He supposedly killed off his main antagonist Kenjaku Kaku, the guy that was the puppet master throughout the whole story back in chapter 243. Now, whether he's truly dead still remains to be seen, but killing off, in my opinion, the main antagonist before the true finale of the story is telling. He said in his quote back in Jump Festa 2020 that potentially everyone can die and one will survive. What if Sukuna actually does end up winning and defeats all the remaining sorcerers left? Sukuna can potentially kill off every jujutsu sorcerer under the sun and will save Yuji for last in a final death match between both characters. Now, Sukuna can be potentially depleted of cursed energy by then, so maybe Yuji might have a chance if he ends up using up any secret techniques that he hasn't shown yet. And if you look closely, doesn't it look like Sukuna is actually avoiding Yuji? He took over Megami, killed his sister, then fought against Gojo and killed him, then fought Kashimo and killed him. Now he's fighting Higuruma and Kusakabe. And let me remind you, Yuji jumped in to fight against Sukuna with Higuruma and Hakari back at the final panel in chapter 238. And yet somehow, Sukuna ends up not fully fighting and killing off Yuji. Sukuna could have easily fought Yuji by now and just end his misery, but he hasn't. Which gets me to think that Sukuna is planning to repeat what he did in Shibuya when he caused a massacre in Shibuya and let Yuji see the damage he has caused by saying, "Hey brat, take a good look," before reverting back, letting Yuji take back control of his body right in front of the bloodshed he has caused. I believe you are headed for another moment like this. But we will have Yuji and Sukuna have the final showdown, and Sukuna showing Yuji that he is surrounded by the dead bodies of all of his friends and that he was the one that did the damage. And if the one that survives at the end of the story is Sukuna, then Yuji's granddad's quote at the beginning of the story came true. Yuji died surrounded by his friends, but in a dark twist, he was surrounded by the dead bodies of all of his friends as he got sliced to pieces by Sukuna. I will have a video explaining why I believe Jujutsu Kaisen as a story is a tragedy more than a typical shonen, but if this were to happen, then this fits the whole tragedy aspect of this story so nicely. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think of this theory behind Yuji's granddad's last words to Yuji. And of course, like I always say, don't forget to subscribe to the Shaman Tribe.